Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into an ancient Taoist text, the Zhuangzi, to explore this really fascinating, kind of challenging idea. It's a roadmap to a type of freedom you've probably never thought about. And it all kicks off with one big question.
So let's just get right to it. What do you think is the highest, most absolute form of freedom a person can have? Is it freedom from things, or is it the freedom to do things?
Now, you might expect a simple answer, but the Zhuangzi, it doesn't do simple. Instead, it lays out this journey as a climb, like a ladder with 3 different rungs, and each one takes you to a whole new level of understanding. We're about to meet 3 different people. One finds his peace by basically building walls to keep the world out. Another learns how to leave the ground and actually ride the wind. And the third? Well, the third achieves something that just completely flips the script on what freedom even is.
So why do we even need a ladder? The Zhuangzi says it all comes down to a question of scale. See, our point of view might be like a tiny little quail, totally happy in its own little patch of bushes, who literally can't even comprehend a giant mythical bird that soars 90,000 miles high. The text is pushing us to ask, what if what we call freedom is actually kind of small-minded?
And that's why we need this path, this ladder. We're going to look at 3 different archetypes who really embody these levels of freedom. The detached man, the transcendent man, and then finally, the ultimate man. All right, first rung on the ladder. Let's meet our first guy, a man named Rongzi. He represents a kind of freedom that's actually really practical and, pretty admirable. Emotional detachment. I mean, just imagine having that kind of inner strength, being so grounded that it doesn't matter if the whole world is singing your praises or tearing you down, you're not swayed. This is Rongzi's freedom. It's this deep inner peace built on a very specific strategy. So how does he pull it off? He builds an inner fortress. He draws a super clear line between what's inside his self and what's outside the world. He separates honor from disgrace. This wall, this shield, it keeps all the chaos and noise of the world out so he can stay calm. It's a freedom that's all about defense. Okay, so this sounds pretty good, right? I mean, who wouldn't want that kind of peace? But, and this is a huge but, the text immediately hits us with a twist. Zhuangzi says, this is not enough. There's actually a really big flaw in this whole approach. So here's the problem. His piece is called a conditional hospitality. Think of it like a border checkpoint where he is the only guard deciding who and what gets in. So while his fortress keeps him safe, a fortress is also a kind of prison. It stops him from ever really engaging with the world because his whole strategy is based on protecting himself from it.
So, if building a fortress isn't the final answer, what's the next step up? Well, instead of defending against the world, we meet a new character who learns to harness it. This is Master Liezi, and his freedom is way more dynamic.
And I mean, this is a huge leap. Liezi isn't building walls anymore. He's using the world's own power. The text says he can literally ride the wind, just soaring around, cool and skillful. He's not hiding from the elements. He's dancing with them. And his transcendence isn't just physical, it's mental too. The text makes a point of saying that he's not worried about getting blessings or chasing happiness. He's just moved way past that everyday struggle. So, the guy can fly. He's not caught up in the rat race for happiness. This has got to be it, right? This is real freedom. I mean, he's escaped being stuck on the ground like the rest of us. What could possibly be wrong with that? Well, here's the catch. And it all comes down to this key philosophical concept, Yodai, which means dependence. For all his amazing skill, Liezi's freedom isn't total. He still has to rely on something outside of himself. He needs the wind. If the wind isn't blowing, he's stuck walking on the ground, just like everybody else. His freedom is conditional.
And that brings us to the very top of the ladder, to the highest stage of freedom imaginable, embodied by this figure called the Zhiren, the ultimate person.
And the description we get here is just, wow, it's so poetic. This ultimate person doesn't just ride the wind. No, they ride on the fundamental laws of the cosmos. They don't just react to change, they drive the changes. So because they're basically one with everything,
The text asks this incredible question: what could a person like that possibly depend on?
And the answer, of course, is nothing. Absolutely nothing. And this is the big payoff concept. Wu Dai, non-dependence. This is Zhuangzi's definition of true, absolute freedom. It's a state where you rely on nothing external because you are already moving in perfect step with the flow of the entire universe.
Okay, so how on earth do you get there? How do you achieve that state of total non-dependence? Well, the answer is probably the most radical idea in this entire chapter. It requires you to give up the very things most of us spend our whole lives trying to build. The chapter ends with this famous knockout punchline. It says, "The ultimate person has no self. The divine person has no merit or accomplishments, and the sage has no name or reputation. To be completely free, you have to let go of everything."
Let's just break that down, because it's a lot. No self gets rid of that I that Rongzi works so hard to protect in his fortress. No merit dissolves the ego's need to claim accomplishments. And no name frees you from the burden of having a reputation to defend. The text is saying this is a state of being a nobody with no job and no name. It's total liberation from your own identity.
I know, right? This is a really tough pill to swallow. For a lot of us, this feels like an impossible command, a path that asks us to give up the very core of who we think we are. And this brings us right back around to the beginning. Remember Rongzi's conditional hospitality from behind his fortress walls? The freedom of the ultimate person is the complete opposite. It's an unconditional hospitality, a radical, total openness to everything. And why? Because if you have no self to protect in the first place, then nothing can possibly be a threat. The walls don't just have an open door, the walls are gone. And that's the final provocative idea I want to leave you with. We climb this whole ladder, from building walls to riding the wind, only to arrive at this idea that true freedom means having no self at all. So if we follow this path to its wild conclusion, what does it truly mean to be human? Thanks for watching.